Well, hello, boys and girls. Are you ready for today's lesson? Okay, so for today, remember I sent home a bag of shapes? Inside your bag, you're going to find some paper shapes as well. Those are tangrams that you'll need to save for another lesson. So don't lose them because you're going to be using those in a lesson that's going to be coming up. But you're going to need to use the foam shapes that I sent home, okay? So don't lose them, okay? The paper shapes. So you're gonna wanna pull these out, have a pencil as well. Okay, class, let's go ahead and open up our books to today's lesson. Class, you wanna make sure it says lesson number 4, problem set at the top. Let's go ahead and write our first and last name. Remember, class, writing our name and our number. First and last name is required, and our number symbol and our classroom number, okay? That is required. And then next week, we'll start writing the date, okay, and practicing that together. Okay. Today, you're gonna be using these shapes here, okay, which we'll review in just a minute. You're gonna use the pattern blocks, that's the shapes, they're called pattern blocks, to create the following shapes. Trace or draw to record your work, okay? Trace, class, it just means to trace around, okay, the shapes. So let's go over the shapes that you have in your bag, okay? You have triangles. Let me close my book for a moment. Keep your books open, class. This is a triangle, hexagon. This is a rhombus. This is a trapezoid and a square. We know that we can put squares together to form rectangles, okay? And I've given you enough shapes in your bag to complete this assignment. Okay. So it says, the number 1 says, use 3 triangles to make 1 trapezoid. Okay, class. I'm gonna share with you a little trick you can do to make it easier, okay? This is a trapezoid, right? Okay, hold the trapezoid down, press it down, and trace around it. Make sure you hold it down while you trace. I'm gonna teach you a little trick to make this a little bit easier, okay? It's kind of like a shortcut. Okay, once you have it traced all the way around, I want you to lift up the trapezoid, okay? So that's a trapezoid. That's what we want to make, a trapezoid, but we want to use 3 triangles. So take out 3 of your triangles. Okay, you need to fit these 3 triangles inside this shape. They need to be fit perfectly inside. Did you see that? Okay, now we need to draw the missing edges, the missing sides. So here's how you do that. Take away 2, hold this one down, make sure it touches the edges, make sure you look around, okay? I'm looking around it, and then I draw the missing side. And then I lift it up. See that? Now go ahead and put it back, and then add your triangles back. And remember, we have this side missing, right? So let's hold these down, take this one out, and draw the missing side. And notice I'm pressing it down, class. You can see, because look at my finger right here. It's a little lighter around the edge. I'm pressing it down. I'm holding it down while I draw. Because if you don't hold it down firmly, the shapes will move on you. And look at that. There you have it. You used 3 triangles to make 1 trapezoid. Okay, now, number 2 says, use 4 squares to make 1 larger square. So go ahead and pause the video now, take out 4 squares and make 1 larger square. Go ahead and do that now. Okay, class. Next. Number 3 says use 6 triangles to make 1 hexagon. So just like before up here, we wanted to make a trapezoid, right? Well, you have a hexagon. Take out your hexagon. Remember I told you the trick? Hold it down and trace all the sides. Make sure all the sides are traced and then lift up your hexagon. Okay, so this is what it should look like before you add in your 6 triangles. So all of you should have 6 triangles, okay? And you're gonna put all your triangles inside. And you're gonna form a hexagon. Okay, and then now you have to, class, you have to draw the sides that are missing inside on the hexagon, okay? So you might just want to either do 1 triangle at a time, okay? If you find it difficult to hold all of them at once, then just hold one of them at a time. Line it up at the edge. I'm gonna start down here. Line it up, hold the edge, hold it down, and then draw your missing sides. Okay, then move this triangle. Line up the edges and draw the missing side. Then move it again. Line up the sides that you've already drawn and draw the missing side. And keep going, class, until you have all 6 drawn. So go ahead and pause the video now and finish number 3. Okay, class, now that you've finished number 3, look at number 4. It says use 1 trapezoid. So you have to use 1 trapezoid. You have to use 1 rhombus. And you have to use 1 triangle to make a hexagon. So if we want to end up with a hexagon, start out with a hexagon, okay? Just like you did on the other ones. Trace the hexagon, because that's eventually what we want to make, right? And then take the 3 shapes that you need to use and put it inside this hexagon to form the hexagon, and then trace the sides, okay? So go ahead and pause the video now and finish number 4. Okay, class, now that you've finished the front side, go to the back side. Make sure you're still on lesson 4 problem set. Number 5 says make a rectangle using the squares from the pattern blocks. So you have how many squares? You have 4 of them, right? So you have 4 squares, right? So it says use these squares to make a rectangle, and then trace the squares to show the rectangle you made. So I'm gonna let you figure out, position your squares to form that rectangle, just like we did on the front side, okay? You have 4 squares, and I want you to make a rectangle out of them, and then trace the squares within that rectangle, okay? Go ahead and pause the video now and finish number 5. Okay, class. Now that you finished number 5, go to number 6. The question asks, how many squares do you see in this rectangle? I want you to count how many squares that you see in this rectangle. Okay, this whole thing is in the shape of a rectangle. How many squares did you find? And write your answer here. Complete in the statement that says, I can find blank squares in this rectangle. Go ahead and complete number 6 now. Go ahead and pause the video to do that. Okay, class, now that you've finished number 6, we're going to move on to number 7, okay? So Let me put my shapes back in my bag because it says to use your pattern blocks to make a picture. So you have a lot of pattern blocks here, right? I want you to use those shapes to make a picture. Trace the shapes to show what you made. It says tell a partner what shapes you used. Can you find any larger shapes within your picture? So tell someone at home what shapes you used to make your picture, okay? And then have a discussion and see if you can find any larger shapes that you actually made within the picture using the shapes that you did. Okay, so you're going to trace that shape below. If you don't think this is a large enough area, class, I'll give you a little hint. Go ahead and use a suggestion, that is. Go ahead and use a blank sheet of copy paper at home and position your shapes on that blank piece of paper, and then trace your shapes there. But just make sure if you do use another paper that you send me a picture of that paper as well, okay? So class, once you're finished completing all of the back side and the front side, send me a picture through your ClassDojo account. If you use a separate piece of paper for number 7 at the bottom here to draw your picture using the shapes, then send a picture, include the picture with that paper as well, okay? Completed paper.